11th Hour Audio presents Creature Feature of the Month with your master of frights, Owen McEwen.
Greetings, listeners, and thank you for joining us at the 11th hour. It was the terrible season of the autumn, and the wild people in the mountains were preparing for the frightful ceremonies which only rumor told of in the towns. They were the very old folk who dwelt higher up in the hills and spoke a choppy language which the Vascones could not understand. Every spring and autumn, they held the infamous rites on the peaks, their howlings and altar fires throwing terror into the villages. Always the same. The night before the Kalends of Maius and the night before the Kalends of November, townsfolk would disappear just before these nights and would never be heard of again. On November 3rd, 1927, H.P. Lovecraft sent a letter containing the story The Very Old Folk to Donald Wandrei. The Very Old Folk is a tale that draws its inspiration from the cross-cultural observances of All Souls' Day, All Saints' Day, and Dia de los Muertos. These days of ceremony and ancestral remembrance are observed during the first days of November. And just as the folk practices of the world gave H.P. Lovecraft the feverish dreams he wrote about, those dreams went on to influence many other writers and podcasters who cautiously dipped their pens into the mad Lovecraftian universe. This month, the 11th Hour Creature Feature brings you a story from the stormy shores of the island of St. Kalends. In Ruins comes to us from a Scottish podcast. A Scottish podcast chronicles the story of Lee, a washed-up former radio DJ who launches a paranormal investigation podcast with reluctant help from his friend Doogie. The two travel the length and breadth of Scotland in search of medieval demon kings and Lovecraftian gods of the sea.
It's the Terror Files, and we're recording this very special episode from the long-forgotten and long-abandoned Scottish island of St. Kalends. As I've mentioned on the show before, this investigation all stemmed from an email sent in by listener Karen in Toronto. You see, Karen's great-grandmother Jean used to live on this very island before it was abandoned in 1922. And why was it abandoned? Well, officially it was put down to the fact that it's pretty much inaccessible for 6 months of the year due to bad season weather. No supplies could get in, and nobody here could get out. But Jean kept a diary. And although Karen doesn't have it anymore, she said it pointed towards other reasons for the people of St. Kalends fleeing to the mainland. Reasons that seem much more sinister. Between 1919 and 1922, when the last of the residents finally left, something used to happen here. Something chilling. According to Jean's diary, the night of July the 1st during these years was one of terror for the people of St. Kalends. She never fully explained why, but today, on the 1st of July, the Terror Files will be spending the night on St. Kalends, surrounded by nothing but freezing black ocean on all sides, and well over 100 miles away from any form of civilization. Will the mysterious force that terrified the people here back in the 1920s still haunt the island? We'll be recording audio and video around the clock to find out. And that's what we're off to set up now. It's going to be a long night, and I must admit that I'm feeling a little apprehensive. I'm Lee Power. It's the Terror Files. Bill just shot on the gear over there.
You're fucking kidding.
No.
Why did you no say something?
I was on a roll. It was a good take.
I'll fucking take it to your face if the wee cunt shat on my bag.
Relax, Doogie. Look at this place, eh? It's spectacular.
It's pissing down, just like the rest of this shithole of a country. Let's get the tents up before we catch hypothermia.
Aye, we will in a sec. But seeing as you've got the recorder out, I'd like to do another link. I just want to describe the island a bit whilst it's still light.
It'll be light for hours yet. Probably doesn't get dark till about midnight.
Well, that storm's making it pretty dark already, though. It's not going to get any lighter.
Alright then. If this recorder gets fucked with the rain, though, you'll struggle to find a music shop out here.
I'll be quick. They call me One Go Joe.
Nobody calls you that, though, do they?
Well, no.
I thought not. Right, Fire away.
Okay, so I want to describe what we're seeing here way out on St. Caelic to help paint a picture of this place in your mind. We're currently looking down onto the south side of the landscape. There's a bay area where the ruins of the island's only village lie. Presumably, the houses would have been built in this area because it offers the most shelter from those harsh northern winds. Behind us, the terrain rises steeply to a peak. It isn't quite what I'd describe as a mountain, but from up there you'll be able to see round the entire island. The northern coast is a dramatic shelf of very high cliffs which look down onto powerful waves crashing against jagged rocks. A truly inhospitable place. St. Caelic, like most northern Scottish islands, doesn't have any trees on it. Even if there were any seeds flying around to germinate in the soil, lack of shelter from the prevailing wind would kill them in their infancy. With the sea on the horizon in every direction, we're so exposed out here. It's frightening to think what this place must be like in the depths of winter. And looking towards the western ridge, I can see what looks like another ruined building. That appears to be the only man-made structure on the island that wasn't built in the bay. So what's the story behind it? And does it have anything to do with the July 1st hysteria all those years ago? Let's take a wander over there and find out, shall we? Fuck it, that'll do.
You're not going anywhere yet. You can get those tents up.
Aye, you'll be helping me though, eh?
No, me and Bill are away to get these cameras set up.
Oh, come on. It'll take me ages to do all that myself.
I'm a professional, Lee. You brought me here to do a job. Get Bob to help you. Where is that cunt, anyway?
He was down near the boat last I saw. He'd opened a bottle of whiskey.
Better watch your fingers if he's hammering the tent pegs in for you then.
Okay.
We're away up that hill. I'll stick a camera up there, then I'll take a look at that ruin of yours. Come on, Bill, let's go.
Fuck you.
Well, you never know. It could get lonely out here later on. Here, Bob.
Aye?
Any chance you could give me a wee hand with the tents up there?
Too fucking windy for tents.
Too windy.
That's what I said.
Oh. So, what are you proposing then? Checking into a hotel instead?
No need to get cheeky. Would be better off sleeping in the ruins.
The ruins? There's no roofs on them.
There'll be enough stuff lying around to make a wee shelter.
I can't believe we're having this discussion. It's not that windy. Tents will be fine if we build them down here in the bay.
That wind's picking up stronger all the time. Gonna be a stormy night.
So you won't help me then?
Well, I'll help you. But your tent will end up in New York.
Well, I've always wanted to go there.
Alright, let's make a start then.
So, what's your opinion on this structure then, Bill? You reckon it was a house, do you? Looks about the same size as the ones in the bay. Why build it away out here, though? You think it belonged to an antisocial cunt? A plausible hypothesis. Christ, is this what my life's become? I mean, no offence, like Bill. It's just that 5 years ago I didn't really imagine myself pottering about on a dead island talking to a dog. But here we are, I suppose. I guess it could have panned out a bit better for you too, eh? Did your old owner die, or did they just give you up? You don't want to talk about it? That's okay. What's that you're digging at anyway? Have you found something? Like maybe the fact that I'm now living in an Enid Blyton novel? What is that? Fucking hell. Suppose we better go and tell Lee about this then, eh?
You found a trapdoor?
Bill found it. The wee cunt's got a good nose on him.
Inside the building?
Aye, maybe like a kind of cellar.
Did you open it?
No, I imagined you'd want to record all that.
You're learning, Dougie. You're learning.
Another thing too. I reckon the building was destroyed in a fire. A long time ago, like, but the bricks have all been sort of blackened by something.
Interesting. Did you get up the peak of the hill, too?
Sure did. Couple of cameras set up, getting a view of the whole island.
Will they wee cameras be alright with the weather? They're waterproof, eh?
Aye, these things are practically indestructible. Unlike the recorder, that'll be fucked before the night's out.
Well, I guess I'll come up and get a look at this trapdoor before the rain gets any worse.
Did you get the tents up?
Well, not really. Not yet, anyway.
How?
Well, it wasn't easy in the wind. That cunt Bob went off in a huff.
Why?
We tried to build one right beside one of the houses, but we couldn't get half the pegs in. Too rocky.
So he just fucked off?
He's adamant that we should build a shelter instead. Cunt thinks he's Bear Grylls.
What's he doing now?
Sitting down there smoking, reading a copy of Razzle.
How the fuck did your man Bruce build such a criminal empire employing boys like Bob?
Well, I don't suppose Bruce's line of work involves putting a lot of tents up.
Fucking Christ. Some trip this is turning out to be.
Keep your hair on. Look, we'll head up to that ruin, do a quick recording of me opening the trapdoor, and then get these tents thrown up. In an hour's time, we'll be blowing the froth off our first tin.
Aye, right.
In fact, go and fire the recorder back up a second.
Now?
Aye, just a quick link whilst I've got the inspiration.
Okay.
The lonely shell of a building on the western ridge of the island caught our attention as soon as we landed on its shores. I say we, because the Terror Files is very much a team effort. And one new member of that team is Bill, a dog with a very keen sense of smell and an eye for noticing the details that his two-legged friends might miss. That's right, this furry little fellow is a retired police dog, who in his law enforcement career helped solve over 200 crimes throughout central Scotland. And it didn't take long for Bill to earn his keep on this particular investigation, because he's uncovered a trapdoor in that mysterious old ruin. So what do we find down there? And will it hold any clues about what used to happen here every year on July 1st? But before we take a look in that trapdoor, let's take a minute to think about your back door. Because it's time to hear from our sponsors, Harrison's Hemorrhoid Ointment.
You never cease to amaze me, Lee.
Hey, they're paying good money.
I mean Bill. A Polish dog.
Well, it's better than saying your sister found him in a nursing home.
Whatever helps you sell more pile cream, I suppose.
Right, enough fanning about. Are we heading up to this fucking ruin?
Aye.
Let's do this.